Hi, this is Claire, and I'm talking about coming out again, but to my family this time. I'd say that it's definitely a lot more stressful, and I had told most of my friends by the time I came out to my parents. Oh my gosh, it was bad. Like, it's funny because before I even came out to my parents, like, I sort of prepped my mom for a while. Just, she's sort of born again Lutheran, and, we have some conflict about that because I'm all, sciencey and like science, and I don't know. I don't have any faith. I'm kind of a skeptic about most of that stuff. But I was baptized Lutheran, and I did that whole song and dance for like 2 years. And my mom, after my parents got divorced, she really got into that, and so I was buttering her up, I guess, by talking about gays and gay marriage and stuff like that before, and kind of getting her to accept that before I told her. And she's really kind of a hippie. Like, she was born in like Berkeley in the 60s, but she also had kind of a Catholic upbringing, so it's kind of this weird combo. But anyway, I mean, when I was visiting home before I told her, like, I had her and my godfather. They both asked me if I was gay while I was there, and I was like, no, I'm not gay. Not really. And so then later I was like, hey Mom, can I take a walk with you? There's something I want to tell you. And so we were like walking in this graveyard that is close by. She recently moved. And I was like, well, Mom, I just I want to tell you. Ever since I've been a kid, I've always kind of felt like a girl, and I've always wanted to be a girl. And she was like, oh, you're transsexual or whatever. And I was like, oh, you've heard of that? And I was really surprised. Like, and I guess she had known a couple people when she was in her 20s. And so I was totally crying too, like, just bawling, and I don't know where it came from. It was just like all of a sudden I was just weeping while I was telling her, and she's like, oh, it's okay. And she was really nice about it, and but that sort of faded, like her nice phase after hearing about it. And she was kind of a bitch for a little while. Like, she totally was like, I don't support you doing this, and I think it's just a phase. I think you're just doing this because you can, and you'll never be a real girl, and just all this shit. And it was really tough. And then she kind of tried to start being a little more supportive later on. And like a few months later, she actually came over to Montana, and she was going to come to a Montana Gender Alliance meeting with me. And I was back in like the fall, and it was when I had my boyfriend, and so we went over to Missoula, and we met with her, and we had dinner, and we started talking about it, and because the meeting was the next day, and she was like, well, I came here because, I wanted to see you and go to this meeting, but I wanted to let you know that I don't support what you're doing, and all this stuff. And I was just really, it hurt a lot, and I was like, I ended up crying a bunch, and like, I was really grateful that my boyfriend was there. He was really supportive. I wanted to leave. Like, I just wanted to go and get out of there, and I didn't want to deal with my mom. And he talked me into staying, and I'm really glad. The next day we went to the meeting. She asked a couple, more risque questions at the meeting, that were a little bit personal to people. But I was glad that she was taking an interest, and she was really cool about it, and she really enjoyed the meeting. And then she kind of we had headed back to Butte after that, and like a week later, so like after she had gone back to Washington, I got an email from her, and she was really apologetic. She was like, hey, I'm sorry, I was such a jerk to you initially, and after I saw you dressed up and at the meeting and saw how happy you were, it's like, I don't think you're gonna have any problem living life as a girl, and all this stuff. And so that was really good. And I mean, she's still hesitant. She told me not to get surgery before I was 25, and I was like, fine. I won't get SRS until I'm 25. Probably gonna get breast aug before that, and maybe I'll even get an SRS if I can swing it somehow. We'll see. Because shit, that's what I need to be happy, really. I mean, I'm fairly happy right now, but like to feel complete, I really want to get that surgery. And things like facial feminization surgery and rhinoplasty and trach shave and all that stuff. I haven't, and I've thought about it, but I don't know how much I need it. I mean, I don't feel like I have a really like out there Adam's apple or anything like that. And I don't know. It sounds so bad. My face isn't super masculine, I guess. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll see a doctor or something and ask their opinion. So anyway, yeah. So she's better about it, and I'm probably gonna stay with her after I graduate for a little while I get used to living full time. And so after I told my mom, and I also told my godfather like right after that, because he was like, well, you know, I just want you to be happy, whatever you gotta do. And so, you know, him and my mom, I'm sure, talked about it. And oh gosh. So, you know, she's talked to a counselor a bit, and you know, the counselor, she wanted me to get like a genetic test to see if I had like a chromosomal or abnormality or like some intersex condition. I was like, what? Doesn't matter. It's like, regardless of the cause, I'm transgender, you know. It's like your counselor doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about. But so she's doing a lot better now with that, and she actually ended up telling my little brother, which I was pissed about, like, because I don't know, my brother, he's like 2.5 years younger than me, and he's like super masculine, like, you know, he's such a badass, and he's, you know, I mean, he's a great kid, and I love him, but he's got some anger issues, and he was really pissed when he found out, when my parents told, when my mom and my godfather told him. I was pissed at them for telling him, but, you know, I posted this basically for, like, Halloween. I was like a goth chick, and so it was like this really just crazy outfit. I had like, you know, petticoats and fishnets and like a corset and black wig and fake piercings and like all this makeup my friend helped me with. And so he saw that on Facebook, and he goes up to mom and she's like, what the fuck is, what's going on with, you know, me? And so she's like, oh, your older brother's transgender, and blah blah blah, and wants to be a girl. And so he was like, what? And it was really bad, because then, like, I was going to be coming home for Thanksgiving, and I tried to talk to him, and he was, like, mad at me, and he didn't want to talk to me. He didn't want to, like, be there for Thanksgiving, but I don't know, he sort of came around, and he, you know, he told me, he's like, I don't want you to cut your dick off. And I was like, whoa, that's not how it works. And, you know, that's down the road a little ways. So calm down. Now let's talk about this. And, you know, then he ended up, he kind of calmed down a bit, and I saw him at Thanksgiving, and he was actually, you know, he saw me, and he had known about my depression beforehand, and he saw how happy I was, and that, I think, really made the difference for him. He was like, well, you know, if this is going to make you, Eric, if this is going to make you happy, I didn't just say my real name. If this is going to make you happy, then I support you doing it, even if I don't understand. And so I was really happy about that. And so then later, told my dad, I guess it was in October. Actually, maybe that was before I saw Ryan at Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is like in November, I think. Yeah. Anyway, so I told my dad in October. He came and visited because Ryan was like, oh, Eric's depressed and he's taking all these antidepressants and I'm worried about him. And so my dad came and visited me. Oh, my brother also told him, he's like, oh, Eric's gay. And using my name again, whatever. Yeah, my real name is Eric. Oh well. So my dad came and visited me, and he currently lives in Oregon, but though at the time he was in California. And my dad's old, he's like 70, and so he came and visited me, and you know, we talked about it, and he was like, hey, you know, whatever you have to do to be happy, I will support you, no matter what, as long as you don't get fat. which kind of made me laugh because my dad hates fat people, and I was really worried about telling him because he's kind of a chauvinist. He's like, our family only has male children, and I was just, so I was really worried about telling him because he's like total chauvinist, and he can be really disrespectful towards women at times, and so I was like, oh my god, this is gonna suck. But he was actually, I mean, he's pretty cool about it, I guess. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he hasn't really seen me dressed up that much or anything. I just kind of told him about it, and yeah, we'll see how this goes once I'm living full time. And I also have an older half brother, and he has 2 sons and a wife. And I guess after I told my dad, he cut through. He went by my older brothers. My older brother also lives in Oregon, and he's like 11 years older than me. So he walks in, and it's my youngest nephew's birthday, and so my dad walks in to, it's the 9-year-old birthday party. He walks in and he's like, well, I have a daughter. And so like his ex-wife and like some people were there, and like my sister-in-law, and they're like, whoa, maybe we should talk about this a little later, when there's not all these kids running around. And so basically my older brother found out because of that way back in October. And so I visited him a couple of weeks ago, my older brother, and because I wanted to tell him about me being transgender because I didn't know he already knew. And it was really funny because I was like working up to it. We were like, I got him alone in the car, and we were like going to a hardware store. And so I was like trying to broach the subject, but before I could, he like just turns to me. He's like, "So, what's this I hear about a sex change?" And I was like, "What? Who told you that? Was it my little brother or our little brother?" And he's like, "No, his dad." And explained it. And I was like, "God damn it! Like, why do people keep telling my brothers before I can?" That's what I get. I don't know. So, and I kind of explained it to him, and I told him, well, I'm not really getting the surgery, not soon, but he's like, well, I talked to your brother too, and if it makes you happy, I don't understand it, but I support you, and I want you to be happy. And my sister-in-law, she was kind of stoked actually. She's like, yay, I'll have a sister, because I've got 2 brothers. On my dad's side, I've just got an uncle, and then my older brother, his kids are both boys, so there's not a lot of women in the family. So yeah, I mean, they've all married in. So yeah, I mean, that was kind of how it went with coming out of my family, and so far, they're okay with it. And I think, maybe there's going to be some resistance once I start living full time, and they see me as Claire instead of their son Eric or brother Eric and all that. I mean, it's going to take some time, I think, to adapt to it, but yeah, one step at a time, right? I know I was really worried because I've heard of people on here where they don't talk to that, like maybe their father doesn't support it, and so they haven't talked to their father since they came out. And some of the people I know in Montana have had some real problems, or they've been like disowned, and so I feel really lucky that my family has been so good about it, and my friends have as well. It's just amazing. I'm really lucky. Anyway, that's the end of this video.